I was told to myself that it's a possibility I might retire from acting and all the other shenanigans that goes on with it until my dear friend from Zalika Films, the Stevens, said, "Do you fancy doing some more Marc and Chums?" And I said, "Oh, go on then." I can't pronounce the full name because it's too complicated and I'll bugger it up. But I know her as Sophie, but your full name is...
Sophie Methuen-Turner.
Did I say that after the pub shut? And of course today's libation for me is the Guinness, and you are on...
Diet Coke.
Diet Coke. I'm the only drinker in the world, I'm absolutely certain of it. So, Sophie, thanks for doing this for me.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Zalika, and being my first guest on series 2 of Marc and Chums. It was going to be called A Day in the Life of, but I said, oh fuck that for a bunch of soldiers. Who wants me coming out of the bath and all that, and wiping me arse, you know what I mean, and all that sort of malarkey. And it's turned into this rather splendid memoir of my life with Chums, and what you have done in your career, because it's not really about me, it's about you.
Oh, well.
Stand by your bed. So, where did you and I first meet?
That's a good question.
Apart from the Sainsbury's car park,
Yeah.
which was much later.
Where did we meet? Do you remember?
I think it was Phileas Fogg.
Do you think?
Or was it?
Was it a murder mystery?
Murder 57.
It could well have been Murder 57.
Everything seems to meld into some sort of dank area of, what were we doing? I tend to think it was Phileas Fogg, but you're probably right on Murder 57, because I remember you being so diligent with, it was all on her phone. Just doing this. I couldn't give a fuck. I mean, I was just saying, what do I do? What do I do? We used to go into corners, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
And go, what am I supposed to do next, Sophie? And she would go on. So I think that was at
The old ship.
the Old Ship Inn.
Yeah.
Which is where I had, strangely enough, guys, is where I had my first COVID clinic when I was.
Oh, really?
Yeah, was right in the back of there when I did, you know, back in the day, several years ago now, of course. And of course, I was saying to them on the reception, I said, I've been here so many times, and not sticking things up people's noses, you know. Because it's sitting through the same bloody meal every time we did one.
I know.
Would you like to explain what the meal was, if you can remember? Because, are you vegetarian?
Vegan now, but yeah, at the time I was vegetarian. Pea risotto.
Pea risotto.
It's quite nice the first time you have it.
Yeah, how many did we do, Sophie?
Well, 12 at least a year.
Yes, and...
Possibly even more. Could
so
be 24.
It could have been, and you ended up with pea risotto every time.
Every time.
And it was the same thing. It was either chicken, wasn't it? Or...
vegetarian.
The vegetarian, and there was...
I think there might have been a fish, but they usually run out of that.
Yeah. I should have stuck to the pea risotto. I mean, there was three starters that were always the same, wasn't it? And we would sit there, and we'd be in this little room. Now explain what we were doing in that little room prior to performance.
Well, so before the performance we had to run through a script. We had to...
Pages of it?
Yeah, pages of it. We had to check the microphones, make sure they worked.
Invariably they didn't.
Yeah, that was fun.
And they would put sweets out for us, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
But because we had to do what is called a backstory of this character. And we might have just got the script there and then. So we had to bloody well make it up. You know, honestly, it was ridiculous. And she's got it all on, and I go, can't you? You're doing it. I said, who's she texting? And you were learning we're learning the script. It was basically improv, wasn't it?
And then we met again years later at Phileas Fogg.
There's a story and a half. No longer with us, Phileas Fogg, which is a shame because the work and effort. I think I mentioned to you in the last series we had Murray Simon here, who you also met on Phileas Fogg.
Yes, I did, yeah.
That good-looking Scottish man who's also appeared in several of the Zalika films we've made. You've done, we'll go on to that, what you've done.
I have, yeah.
Yes.
I have.
At Phileas Fogg, now I was the first Phileas Fogg, but I then got kicked out of that and had to go and do front of house. But on one occasion, they didn't have a Phileas Fogg, and they didn't have what?
A Queen Victoria. So I was originally cast as Queen Victoria, and for those of you who don't know, I'm about 6 foot tall and I've got blonde hair. Queen Victoria was about 5 foot.
No, she was about 4'2", really.
Yeah, with jet black hair or grey hair.
Well, no, she had it all pinned back.
Yeah.
You know, and all that, and you had the most, because she would have worn black.
Yeah.
But you were in the most extraordinary colour. I think probably the Prince Consort Albert was still alive because she hadn't got it to mourning. And you came, because you were at the very end of, because I as Phileas Fogg would have to go through all
Yes, I was the last person there.
And I'm going, oh Christ almighty, what, because we didn't know what was going on.
Didn't have a Scooby-Doo what was going on.
But, you know, so what happened? Do tell.
Well, so they had to go around all these rooms. I was the last person there. Mm-hmm. Luckily, at some point you were Phileas Fogg, and we just had a bit of a laugh, you know. I mean, I think the main thing was that the audience members seemed to enjoy it. That was something that kind of, I think, has resonated.
Well, I think what happened on that particular occasion, I think I only did it once with you. I mean, she was the tallest Queen Victoria. But,
and the blondest, I think.
And the blondest. And not only that, because we weren't told what to do. I just did RP. And you know, although Queen Victoria had an English accent, you went into this almost Irish banshee.
Yes.
And I'm, you know, of course I looked at fucking great big throne room, wasn't it?
Yeah.
All that.
They had me sitting on this massive throne with sort of plush red premium carpets.
And you were in a sort of off turquoise something. It clashed beautifully, didn't it? With all the hair down like that. There was no crown. Was there no crown?
No, I didn't have a crown at that point. No
You
crown.
could have had one of those Jewish things on the back, for as far as I know, because you didn't have any of all that. No, what you did do, because we had no idea, is you started knighting everyone.
Yeah. Well, if there's no
So
script.
how did that come to your mind, Sophie?
Well, the thing was, I wasn't given a script. I had to do something with these people, you know, to make it slightly more interesting. So I just thought, what could I do that would make this engaging for people, you know? So I just thought, well, I'll just knight people. Because, of course, you know, I was on this throne, there was a sort of altar. They could sort of, what were they going to do? Come up and look at me? Well, you know, we're not in
And I'm there with the top hat on and all that, and I said, Christ, I'm just looking at you going,
I just thought, yeah, I'm going to knight you. And you.
no, you were doing all this stuff. I said, thank God you had something to knight them with. You know, if they hadn't thought about it, probably ended up being a clipboard. We're all sitting in the green room with clipboards going like that. You didn't. Now, this is the difference. You see, Murder 57, she had it all written. This was bits of paper that was suddenly changed.
Yeah.
Oh, we got rid of that. So my point to me was, when they said, oh, we want you to do front of house, I went, because it's hard work doing the Phileas Fogg character. It was doing round the world in 80 days, literally in 60 minutes.
Yeah.
And the sets were really good. I mean, they didn't last long, apparently, because unfortunately what happened to it?
Well, I think it during COVID, didn't it have issues? I mean, I think it was advertised as a premium project from the off.
I mean, it looked good.
Yeah, and it did look good, yeah. But I think they were charging sort of £40–50 a ticket, something like that. And I think a lot of people found that a bit unaffordable.
Mm.
And so I think they struggled a bit financially with that. And then COVID hit, and so obviously they had to be closed for some time, and I think they never fully recovered.
Mm. I mean, they had a good bar.
They did. And
Yeah.
I think after I left, they went on and they did other things. I think they did Jack the Ripper. I think they
Yeah,
did
they sort of diversified.
some kind of
slightly.
Titanic type of thing. Yeah, I think maybe they kind of had to. I mean, I don't know how
How many times can you go around the world in 80 days and 60 minutes?
Yeah, and how interesting is that?
I also think the problem, because where it was located, seemed to be a
Yeah,
huge
it was in the
problem.
middle of nowhere, wasn't it? Around where that big Asda is, Hollingdean, is it Hollingbury?
She doesn't cook, so she wouldn't know about it, apart from Sainsbury's car parks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was right the way out. What it was, because unbeknownst to many people out there at the time, they took over a building that used to be the police custody suite. So that's where all criminals went and did their whatever they had, to be, and all that business and all that. And it's where it was basically a jail for people that went into custody.
Well, it's interesting you say that. It did feel a bit like being in one, didn't it?
I mean, you've never seen anything like. I mean,
No windows, nothing like that. No.
Yeah, but the amount of money they spent costume-wise.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not going to work. 'Cause they would pay out, so much money for that. Do you remember? They got a couple of directors in.
Oh yes, they did.
Do tell.
Well, they got a couple of directors in. Basically, it didn't quite work with not having any kind of script at all, and letting us do whatever we felt like in any kind of shape or form.
But to keep it in at some point, I mean, we had to be comedic. It could be anything more than that. God knows how they did Jack the Ripper after that, I can tell you, because that's not funny.
So, I don't know how you made Jack the Ripper funny, but
We would have done it.
Well,
We'll go on to that one in a minute, dear. You know what I mean? Yeah. But what was that? These directors?
so they hired in a series of directors, I think, to.
We won't mention their names.
Well, one of them unfortunately passed away relatively
Which?
recently.
And which one?
Toby Clay.
I'm not going to mention, but he was a pain in the neck. But I didn't know he had gone. We won't mention his name. And do we know how he passed away?
No, just he went to bed and didn't wake up.
Bit like Paul O'Grady.
Yeah.
God rest his soul. Paul O'Grady, quick man.
Oh, I love
And
Paul
to
O'Grady.
Mr. TC, we'll call him. God rest his soul. He was not, in my eyes, bless him, what one would expect from a director,
No.
unfortunately. But he had his good moments.
Yeah.
Because he quite liked the idea of the impro, what was given to us by that time, to put in other bits, and then we could do our own nuance in, I remember doing some run-throughs with the whole cast. There was a fucking huge cast. We had, 45 cast members? It went down to about 3. And you could put your own nuance onto, like there's one bit in the Wild West where Fogg goes in, he's been given a dram of whiskey, so I had to do something, which I've done in a film for Stephen, didn't I, in Dr. Eisenhurst, yes, where you stamp your feet and go, wowza! I don't think Phileas Fogg would have said that, but he seemed to like it. Well, I'm very sad to hear that he's passed.
Yeah.
There was the other one that came in was another one starting with J, and he was very unapologetic about the way he was with actors. And that was a problem, I think, and a lot of people left because of that.
I think a big problem for me was that the timings changed. When I originally was hired by them, I was hired on an as and when basis, on the idea that I could give in my availability, and
Same thing.
therefore then, you know, if there are extra shifts I could take them, and if there weren't any extra shifts I wouldn't kind of have to
You
do
have
them.
other work.
Yeah. So and that was really what I kind of signed up to. I think when they got different people in to sort of run it, they had in mind a set cast who would sort of continue that.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't really want 3 days a week there, 2 days a week there, 4 days a week there. They wanted 6 days, boom. And that wasn't really compatible with...
And certainly for an actress, you're not just an actress, I'd like to point out. Please tell us what other work you do.
So I do a lot of other work. I do a lot of cabaret work. I work.
Apart from show business, love, you do other work.
Yes.
You know what I think about showbiz, whole play acting, just get on with it and go to the pub. What
I
other
work-
is the important work?
So I work with people with learning disabilities. I work with rough sleepers. I work with people with mental health conditions, and I'm one of the LGBT.
WXY said, I've lost track of how many letters are in there these days. Just A to Z. It's like the London thing in it, you know, and all that. But you see, this is the wonderful thing. You know, we're both actors. And how long have you been an actress?
10 years. 10 years, yeah.
So only 10 years. 1964 I started. And don't say it looks like it. But I was a kid then. But I've said on many of my programmes that you've got to have the passion to be an actor.
Yeah.
You've got to actually enjoy it. And you know, I mean, Stephen knows, all the people I've worked with on films and all that, I can never take it serious. I'll do a good job, but I can't take it seriously.
No.
You know, where you get a lot, I mean, we've never taken it serious.
No.
We've always,
No.
all that business, what's my motivation? I said, just do the bloody lines and fuck off down the pub lap. That's your motivation. But as long as you put it in for the audience to understand where you're coming from, and your own perceivance of what that character is. I mean, with working for Stephen, it's quite an easy job. But when I can think about whatever, and he normally comes, don't you, dear? Just says to him, as you would. You know. You then can...
Yeah, then you can develop your own character, do your own thing.
Yeah, which has been good for us because we've done Phileas Fogg, we have done Murder 57. It's not like Heinz 57, put it that way, it was not as many scripts. Most of it was baked beans, cream of tomato. Mind you, the amount of blood they used to put all over us, if you got murdered, you were covered in it. But then, of course, with your other work, you're able to fit in.
Yeah.
Still continuing doing murder mysteries, what they call them.
Yeah.
But you have just been recently to Italy.
I have. So I was in a performance called The Maestro. The Maestro is about an Italian composer called Donizetti. And
Who?
Donizetti.
Donizetti.
So he created a lot of operas, and he had quite a sort of troubled life, really. It appears that he contracted syphilis, which he then passed on to his wife, and which caused her to die and her to miscarry 3 of their children.
Oh, crikey.
And because they didn't have a cure for it at the time, it got worse and worse and worse, and by the end he couldn't recognise any of his operas.
Really?
Yeah. So it's quite a sad production.
It's, as they used to say in the set, don't get, like they said in personal, don't get deep, Dolly.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to be deep in performance.
Yeah.
And whatever the criteria or the plot is, and
part of it is...
in a reality thing, it is you're doing somebody's life.
Yeah. And equally, you've got to show other people, look what happens if you don't get yourself tested. Look what happens if you don't, if you don't take precautions, that kind of thing, because we don't want to get in a position where we go back a step. We need to bring these situations forward to people, and say, look what happened. How can we learn from this situation? So we did that at Brighton. We did that at Brighton Fringe.
What year was that?
So that was 2022.
Last year.
Yes. We took it to New Timber, which is a little village just outside of Brighton. We took it as well to Danny House, which is a stately home.
One of the stately homes of England.
Yeah. We took it to Clapham's Omnibus Theatre. And yes, we spent half a week in Italy doing it there. And that was quite exciting.
We have done, apart from ballet and ice skating, I think, or the corps de ballet, or whatever they call it, we've done one or two other things that we never thought we'd do as actors.
Yes.
Because we were sort of jobbing away, hoping, hope for the best, wait for the worst and all that. And there was something that came up from, and I had made several films for this particular company, our darling Stephen, one of the most generous men in the world, by the way. I will say it again, Stephen, I know you'll cut it out. And he said, I'll come up with this idea. And I went, Christ, here we go again. Because I must say, some of the films I've made for Zalika have been quite off the wall. So far, I've always said to Stephen, I don't know what's going on, but I'll go for it, level best, that sort of business. And I said, so what's this? It's called the 48-hour film challenge.
Yes.
I went, oh yeah. So it had to be scripted, filmed, edited, music, all that within a 48-hour period.
Yes, that's right.
For it. So how did you get involved?
Well, I got involved, I think, through you, to be honest, because I think I was a bit late to the party within the 48 hours. And I think I think Stephen quite quickly needed a sort of female presenting person to be in it. So I seem to remember you asked me to sort of step into the role, and I was available at the time, and I made my way down to Hastings, and we had a blast.
Well, we did have a quick meeting, I think all of us that were in it.
Yes, we did.
But not knowing what it was going to be
No,
about.
that was it. We had no idea as well.
What is that? And it was basically, you just said, oh, God, yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah.
Because you hadn't done a lot of film or anything.
No. And the idea about it being a 48-hour challenge, the idea of not seeing a script, of not knowing what's going to come, was quite exciting.
For all of us, yeah. And there was you, me, and a couple of other fellas in it.
Yes. Yep.
The two Davids, and we filmed at, is it St Bartholomew?
St Benedict.
St Benedict, I was getting it wrong. Bartholomew is a completely different saint. And we ended up this place, you turned up and all that. And what did you think of that location?
Oh, well, do you know, I've never been anywhere like it. It was, so I think it was like a B&B, wasn't it? I think
It is still
yeah.
a B&B.
But they had collected all these items from the sort of Victorian era, all these kind of china, all kinds of things. Honestly, I've never been anywhere like it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was totally unbelievable for me. Yeah, totally loved it.
And we had very little time to film it because it was done over 48 hours.
Yeah.
So it was getting in there, doing it, having a bit of, I think Stephen had typed up some sort of premise for it, which we were basically given there and then.
Yeah, because that was part of it, wasn't it?
Yeah,
We couldn't see.
but we didn't know what it was going to be.
Yeah. In light of the murders, sir, St Benedict's Church are promoting people's well-being and overall health.
Murders?
Yes, sir. The murders in Whitechapel. The prostitutes, sir.
Prostitute?
Yes. Have you not heard, sir? Oh. Well, there have been several murders in Whitechapel, sir. Now, obviously the church doesn't condone such actions, and obviously prostitution is a mortal sin, sir.
You make it sound like a virus. They're only making a living.
Well, sir...
And I'm playing two parts. One is the Ripper, or whatever form it is. But I'm also playing the, what was his name? The Duke of Clarence.
Yeah. And of course, here I was going to get murdered.
And all that.
Wow, that was exciting.
So, yeah,
Love it to death.
we have all this stuff, and you're coming into this sort of, if I remember rightly, you're playing the part that you decided on in your own way was to be the sort of born again, almost worrying too much about the prostitutes and all that sort of business and all that.
I do like your decor, sir. It's a very wonderful red, sir. Almost like blood.
Oxygenated blood.
Yes, sir. Right. I've actually got another family to go and discuss.
Can't you see the red nose?
Oh, yes, sir.
It's all around you.
So I don't know, I never understood why it didn't have a title, if I remember rightly.
No, I don't think it did originally.
It was just a 48-hour whatever it was. And how did that come about, it being called the Pink Pussycat?
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure, if I'm honest.
Oh yeah, I think after you've been murdered. Well, you wouldn't know because you're probably sitting there and going, what the hell about now?
Yeah.
And all that. And I think it came out about somewhere in, the Ripper area. I was the Duke of Clarence was going to this, or Jack the Ripper was going to this place called the Pink Pussycat.
Whilst I was patrolling around the Whitechapel area last night, I spotted a figure very much of your stature, shall we say, loitering outside that den of iniquity known as the Pink Pussycat. Can you explain your reason for being there?
I'm a bit concerned. Do you think in Victorian times they have places called the Pink Pussycat? Because I wouldn't know. I didn't know at all. I just thought to myself, oh, I'll go with it. Because I was so because it was improv.
Yeah.
I just said, and I thought that I can't think of anything to say. So all I said was, I was being asked questions, wasn't I, and all that, and I'll just go, no. Best improvisation you do, just say no.
Would you care to show us your hands?
No.
I need to see your hands, Your Highness.
The two lads had their own little piece and all that. You and I had our piece, which was hilarious. In that bloody organ room.
Yeah.
And there was an interesting thing that when we were talking about it, on doing a bit of improv and all that, how easy it is to work with you, Sophie, because you just knew. And somebody who doesn't often do film, you just knew not to sort of, as people tend to sort of do that business and all that. You could have very like this and communicational towards the other performer, rather than some people sort of just do an eyeline across that way or something like that. You kept it focused the whole way through, which I admire you for, considering you haven't had much experience in film.
Yeah, I mean the majority, I trained in rep, so the majority of my experience is performing on the stage. I have done a few films, and in fact I've done more since then.
More since then, of course.
But yes, you're absolutely right, the majority of my experience was not in film.
And the interesting thing was, although you're murdered, who gets the last laugh, Sophie?
Well, it certainly is not me, that's for sure. I think it's you.
Not really, because it goes to, I can't remember if it goes to end titles or anything like that, but the next shot is you lying on the ground dead,
Yes.
and suddenly your eyes open like...
Blood under the fingernails.
Then we come on to, you're still doing your Murder Booty stuff and your other shows,
And we do murder mysteries for other companies as well.
which is nice to know. Probably better ones. Not decrying her performance at all, because she's brilliant, absolutely brilliant, totally special. Then Zalika, well, Stephen came up with this idea of doing a sort of full-on Dracula film.
Yeah.
And it was going backwards and forwards and all sorts of problems with it and so on and so forth. And in the end it was adapted, God knows how many times, and it became Kestrel House, which for me, although I play one of the male leads in it as the main antagonist, is a female-led film. And the girls did it were brilliant, but you were offered a part in it.
I was.
And what happened there?
Yes. Well, unfortunately, I had a prior engagement that day, so I wasn't able to attend.
You only don't want that you can do it. You were a bit furious, weren't you? Because I really wanted to do it. I wanted to do it and all that.
But nevertheless, I hear you got some brilliant people.
Well, Steve is very good at casting.
Yeah.
He doesn't muck about. Occasionally I ask my advice, because as you know, I used to be a casting director, but I think I've said to you before, there's certain times when you ask people, you know, Steve has got a good script and all that, and we're going to do it. You know, then one or two of the occasions, they say, well, I want to see the script, it's all that shit that gets on my tits, it really does. And I said, do you want to do it or not, you know? And that sort of thing I used to have as a casting director, or an agent as I was all those years ago. Do you think it would be good for my career? Such a career. Do you want to do it or not? Do you want to be part of this craft? It's a learning curve. As you know, anything we do in an acting thing, you're learning from. Or is it the fact that you're frightened to do it? Because you might not come up to the expectations of the rest of the cast or the crew or whatever. Oh, that's my fault. How do you feel about that?
Well, I certainly think that acting, you constantly learn. I think it's very unwise if you think, oh, I've been to drama school, I'm not going to learn anymore, I've done that. I think you've got to constantly see it as a learning curve. That's basically how I see everything that I do, is I've got to learn, I've got to improve on what I'm doing, and how can I improve. And equally, I look at each performance after I've done it and think, how can I improve before the next one? Yes, I think there may well be for some people perhaps a risk of can I don't know, can I meet the expectations of people? I think that might be the case. Perhaps some people also think they don't need to learn. Perhaps that could be another thought.
I think that's a lot of the problem. They think, oh, yeah, I'm already, yeah.
Could be a concern.
Well, they might make a tit of themselves. Well, I make a tit of myself all the time, dude. It doesn't worry me, you know, as long as... I mean, if you were to be offered a feature film in a big part and all that, how do you feel you would approach it from an actor's point of view?
Well, I think go for it. I think you've got to go for it. That would be the first thing. Thank you very much. Yes, bring on the offers. That would firstly be...
I've got an air fryer to fill.
Yeah.
Come on to that later. Yeah, but I'm the same. And sometimes you've got to do films and all that where there's either no pay or whatever and all that, but it keeps this going.
Yeah.
It's the grey matter that's important. And if you feel you want to be sitting there like I had when I was an agent, people would phone me up and I was a competent, well thought of agent, and they would phone up and say, anything happening? And when it was the same people doing it over and over again, although I would have put them up for several things with PBS and Spotlight and all that stuff, and I said to my officer, the lovely late Mike Garner, I want you to write every single thing down on a list, what they put up with and all that, so they can have a copy of it and they can see what work we've done for them. But constantly phoning you up, you know, if I had any, I would say, I got to the stage number 1 or 2 of them, sarcastically, and say, well, don't you think you'll be the first person to know if something has happened? You know, there's no point, you know, it's not the ever forgotten. When you become an agent for any client, and I had 200, you don't forget any single one of them, ever. And if there's a situation, they might think, oh, well, I'm not getting anything. I mean, you hear it a lot. I mean, have you got an agent?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And how many times do you hear from your agent? That's a very good question. Shocking, really. But you're not phoning your agent every 5 minutes.
No. But I think there is a bit of a balance there. The agent will contact me. Every now and then I might contact them to say, you know, what's the breakdown of what I've been applied for in the past 6 months.
Yeah.
Do I think it matches up? I don't sit at home and
We did this on a weekly basis for every single client.
Yeah, see that's pretty good.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and that's 200. And we
See,
were
that's a
staff
lot
of
of work.
3.
That's a lot of work.
Staff of 3. That was me, Amanda, and Mike. And God knows how we got through it. And of course, when you had big TV shows, which I had cast as well, you know, Baby Cow and stuff like that, they all got something in it. And 1 or 2 said, well, why not me? I said, well, I'm terribly sorry, but you're not right for that. I said, they want a 2'6" dwarf, dear. You don't fit that.
No.
Because you're 6'8". Queen Victoria.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's not, you know, it's trying to put somebody in and getting the best out of them as an actor.
Yeah.
Rather than what they think they're able to do. And we're back, yes, here we go. And what would one of my programmes, certainly not the second series, be without the Betty Swallocks?
Well, you're right.
Came straight in, didn't you?
I did.
And the dog went mad. And I always thought that Sophie and Betty had met, but you haven't. It's
No,
the
I don't
first
think
time.
we have.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Unless I was looking at something else.
Well, you can't
Unless
avoid,
I was as well.
well, you can't avoid, you know, the size of you,
No,
darling,
no.
how tall she is.
Well, it's going off. Eventually it'll go off, hopefully.
You've been off for years. haven't you?
I know. I know, that's what my lady said last week.
So this is going to be the last segment of this particular show. What is the interesting thing is I have been working, I have known Betty, you all know Betty, viewers, and we've known each other for, when was it?
Well,
40 or
80s we worked together.
On Doctor Who.
Yeah. I don't know before that maybe as well. Don't know.
Well, I can't remember, I was too young.
I was as well. Ish.
And thinner.
Well, a lot thinner.
And the wonderful thing is, I work with your other half,
You do.
Michael, who would be here today, but his particular employer buggered up the dates, and he's now doing an early and a late. And he kept on saying to me, Mike, his name is, he said, oh Mark, I'm sorry I can't be there. And I thought, well, it's lovely that you might not be there, but the fact is I'm going to be talking to Sophie. No offence, Michael.
Well, I don't think I'd have got a word in edgeways if you'd have been
We
here, to be
wouldn't
fair.
have, it would have been the Michael show.
Yes.
Because he's a delightful man, he's been good to me and we get on very well. And of course I do him a little favour, he doesn't live too far, but because of where we work, it's a bugger on the buses and all that. And he keeps on saying to me, because I take him home, because you're up at 7 times.
Yes, we are, yeah.
It's Brighton. because there's many 7 dials all over the place, just so you know, we are actually in Brighton. What is interesting is, he always says to me as he gets into the car, which Red Rita, and he's a big guy, isn't he?
Oh yeah.
You know, he's, you know,
No.
yeah. And what is interesting, he said, oh, he's so kind to me. And I said, kindness has nothing to do with it. If I didn't want to offer it, I wouldn't ask. You know, I wouldn't
true.
offer it to you.
It is lovely.
That's
You know,
you do
because
that
you don't
all
want
the
to be,
time,
and
Mark.
certainly if it's pissing down
Oh.
with rain, isn't it? When
Yeah.
it's pissing down
Yeah,
with
yeah,
rain.
yeah. But I do think that people who own cars don't always appreciate how difficult it is for people who don't have them. You know, I mean, myself and Michael, neither of us drive, although I'm in the process of learning. Oh.
Yet. You was late for this performance because you went to the driving.
I was trying to do my driving lesson. Yeah. So to have any kind of lift or anything like that makes such a difference.
And what will take me 10 minutes will take him an hour.
Yeah. And as well as it taking an hour, it involves being freezing, probably getting rained on, you know, all of that, sitting with strangers, then inevitably, you know, there's some
We
kind
don't
of
like
faff,
strangers.
somebody wants to
Gets
sit
in
next
Red
to you.
Reed. You said gets in Red Reed to sing to a stranger. No. Very strange, isn't it?
Very strange.
Well, you know, the one of the things was all I know some big guys, don't I, dear?
Yeah.
Red Rita's a C1 Citroen, and she can take the weight. Although recently it's been a bit difficult getting up hills
Yeah.
because I had something wrong with whatever, what are they called? The spark plugs or something.
Yeah, well,
like that.
something like that.
It cost a bloody fortune there. But what car are you driving at the moment?
Well, I'm driving my driving instructor's car,
Which is a.
a Toyota.
Mm.
And how are you finding it?
I like a little Toyota. I'm learning on an automatic car, which is a revelation because it means no gears.
Oh, so you're going for automatic, you're not going to go for the. I never, well, I was lucky back in the day to go manual, as they say. Because you can drive,
Yeah.
can't you? But you've been driving for a few years now.
But I could still drive, I should think. I passed in 73 in Keighley, Yorkshire, near Bradford, England. Bradford and Bingley built as a society.
But you've driven, we haven't driven recently.
Oh, I've driven all over.
Mm.
I don't think I've driven Rita ever.
No, you haven't.
I don't think
We've got certainly for Michael and Betsy, we've got that seat so packed. There is no way that you could get in front of the wheel.
Or maybe.
I mean, it's ridiculous, you know. And then I had a terrible problem with my seatbelt. And it took 2 months to get a new seatbelt.
Oh.
Cowboys.
Now I understand something that you're a very wonderful actress, performer, you work in care and all the stuff that you do. There's one thing in your life that you have great difficulty in.
Yeah.
Cooking.
Yes. Oh.
You know, I've been working with your other half. And I like cooking, but I don't want to be a kind of chore.
No.
And I've said this on a couple of other shows where I said, oh, Dad opened a bloody restaurant, didn't he, dear? And I just said, oh, all that prep.
Yeah.
I wanted it not to become a chore. I wanted to
Yeah.
enjoy doing it. But I enjoy doing it where I work, you know, and all that. And
It's good.
my friend, our mutual friend, the lovely Jill Ennis from Watford,
Yeah.
camp as tits. No, I want that, not that and all that. She has been trying to persuade me for the last 2 years to get an air fryer. And I've been reticent about an air fryer. Oh, I don't know. I've got a toaster. I've got a slow cooker, I've got a microwave. Got the oven and all that. Marc, I tell you, this is going to be a boon in your life. Well, I got one. Finally, I got one. I've never looked back. So, I'm starting the club of the Air Fryers Appreciation Society, and I persuaded Betty to get one.
You did.
And you never.
I haven't done much on it, but I've done quite a lot.
Yeah.
More than I would have done on anything else I got was the halogen.
Well, yeah, but you haven't got a real cooker. You haven't got like.
No, I've got a hard
cook. Have you got a cooker?
Yeah, I've got full hot. No.
Yeah, you never used it.
Never used it.
You burn water.
Now, so when I was living in Reading, I lived basically part of it was I lived with a family,
Good boy.
and the dad in that family tried to teach me how to cook a boiled egg, and yeah, I managed to burn it.
You fucked it up.
Yeah.
Interesting. Just a few days, we have another friend who's just joined us at where I work, who's from Pakistan.
Okay.
And the house where I work decided, we'll take Mark's advice to get an air fryer, which has been a real boon. So the house has got one, Betty's got one. Sanders from Pakistan said, I want one, so I took him because his car was in dock, you know. I said, let's go and get an air fryer then. And he's going through this, what about this one, what about that? I said, no, that's the one you want. That's the same one we got at work, the one I've got. So, and you've got the same as well, haven't you?
I think so.
Yeah.
And we've got an air fryer. I don't know what brand it is, I don't know what make it is, I still haven't turned it on.
It is.
But it's an air fryer.
It's probably the same one I've got. And
it came from Tesco, if that helps.
Oh,
well,
no,
yeah, mine's Asda.
No, but Mike was going to buy a bigger one, which he said, but it was like this. And I said, well, that's not so much an air fryer, it's a grill and all that. It costs an awful lot more money, but you just need a 4.5 air fryer. Litres, that is.
Okay.
Get a whole chicken in there, don't you? So you've now got one.
Yes, we have. I haven't switched it on, but it's there.
You're just looking at it going, it's like looking at a script you can't learn the lines.
Yeah, it really
It does come with an instruction booklet, you know.
They're in gobbledygook anyway.
Well, yeah, no, but they're very simple to use. So I do believe that Jill Ellis and I, with all our new friends who have now got air fryers, to start up a Facebook club saying the Air Fryer Appreciation Society.
I'm sure I will join that club soon.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll be winging my way to, I don't know, sweet potato fries before you know it.
You can cuddle an egg in there. I don't know if you can boil one, but you're trying a little best, won't you? So, now Betty, what are you doing coming up? Because one of your places that have recently, where we were going to film on occasion, weren't we? The Kirstens changed hands.
Yeah.
Has it? Now that's interesting.
Ah, you see.
Well, we don't
Okay,
know,
the drag place, yeah?
I think it's a woman. But
You think it's, well, you never know these days.
We don't know whether they're going to keep it as it is. There's nothing in the windows to say
It's
that
always
when
a
it's
bit dank,
opening.
isn't it?
When it's it was always like that, even at the end.
But there's no
in
posters on
between.
the outside.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't. They've taken everything down.
Oh.
So what they're going to do with it, I don't know. But I'll go in one of these days and see if I can get some jigs in there.
What a shame. What a shame. Because of course the Curzon hadn't been there for that long, really.
Well,
had
we'd
it?
have been there today.
We would have
We
been
were-
filming
we
that
were-
today, but it had come out, you
I
know.
love it.
We booked it. Well, we.
And they've got similar, Stephen, you know, upstairs,
Yes,
downstairs
yes,
and all. It's lovely.
lovely upstairs.
Very nice.
Dionysus Theatre Company used to have the upstairs.
And downstairs is I can't remember. It's for
They've
games, I
got
think.
a little stage,
games.
little square stage. I've seen Dave Lynn there. They do a bit of
Well,
food.
Dave Lynn did their last, he did their last, didn't he?
Last
Was
one.
it last week? Was
The
it?
last one, yeah, last Saturday or Sunday. Yeah, Saturday, because he was with me on Sunday, having me dinner
Yeah, didn't
in centre stage, which I've done twice, which was the Amsterdam.
Yes. Now, so a couple
Hotel.
of things. I was at Centre Stage a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, originally I was there when it opened. Actually, it was, as you said, it was Amsterdam and became Centre Stage. And when they reopened, they did. I think they did sort of half price food or something, and I was there.
Or having half price food or performing.
having half-price food.
Well, you weren't cooking.
No, there were people there.
Oh, that's so long she's burnt it again. Yeah.
Or it's raw in the middle, you know.
As I said to your other half, cooking's chemistry, darling. You've got to keep an eye on it.
Yes.
Yeah. So how was the food there? Was it nice?
Yeah.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad.
Mine was good.
But I went a couple of weeks ago, not for food, to enjoy the cabaret that was going on. And they've completely redone it. They've got drag acts on the sort of panels. It looks a lot more glamorous than when I first went, which is obviously good. But years ago, I used to go to the Amsterdam regularly. In fact, they used to have accommodation underneath it, which was supposed to be for employees, and I nearly rented it off them.
Really?
But they had no cooking facilities. I mean, that wasn't an issue. That wasn't why I didn't rent it. I didn't rent it because I don't cook anyway. So happy
different now,
days.
she had an air fryer.
But no, they wouldn't take my cat, so that was a big no.
Well, there's got other pussy in there.
Yeah.
Loads. I don't like it, but no, I don't like it. Cat or two. Then put a bit of...
Yeah, when she gets down, there's no stopping her. Do you understand? Yeah. Still, what's going to happen next for you, Sophie?
Well, that is a question. I'm doing the Festival of Chichester in July.
And what you're doing there?
So I'm doing a live version of an audio drama, which I'm quite excited about.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a couple of murder mysteries coming up that I'm doing. But yeah, doors open. Hello everyone. Hello world.
Mm-hmm.
Offers willing. Well, acting offers. Let's just clarify that.
You see, it just rubs off, doesn't it? You know, the innuendo just seems to... Mind you, I'm terrible, as you know. I mean, we've all seen there, aren't we, Betty?
Yeah. Huh?
And all that, but, you know, we've sat and done sort of conversations on blogs and all that. It's all a bit rude.
Aye.
You got a part for me in this thing, haven't you?
Well, if there is one, I'll let you know.
Then that's no.
That means no.
It doesn't. It means I'm not in charge of it.
All right, well, I'm quite good. You know, if I can read it, I'm all right, love. You know what I mean? As long as I've got the glasses on. So on that note, I think I'd like to thank Sophie for being here today. And have you a message for Michael?
Message to Michael.
Hello, Michael.
Hello, Michael.
Thank you.
I know Michael.
You said Michael?
Yes.
He has met. They have met.
Yeah, I thought I knew him well from somewhere or other.
You probably do.
Probably from around. Probably been in my audience. I've had lots of audiences. Audiences with and audience without. Sometimes no audience. But they'll come. They'll flock to me when I'm on. When it's the time.
Yeah, but the word was flock. Can we just get the word was flock if we haven't got that on audio?
They are pretty,
something else.
they are pretty cheapish.
So on that note, I'd like... You're going to shut your face now.
No, it's my turn.
No. Thank you to Betty Swallocks and thank you
you.
certainly to the most wonderful Sophie. What's her name?
Oh, that'll do. It's Methuen-Turner, but I'll take
Methuen-Turner. Methuen, I just remember, you know, Hergé's Adventures of Tintin.
Yeah.
It's nowhere near Turner.
So on that note, thank you again to Stephen, my director and all that, and this is Series 2, Episode 1. See you later.
Bye.